Good day and welcome back to the Student StarCraft AI tournament. We have got for you a small game of krasi0 vs tscmoo Zerg. krasi0 and tscmoo have been working on their bot, and today they were testing their build orders against one another. I took the liberty of recording a game and also testing my new recording setup. As you might have noticed, my last video was rather bad. It was low resolution, the sound was messed up, so I needed to do something about that. I was very dissatisfied with it myself. So I put my new hardware to work, grabbed a game, recorded it of our live server. You can see the link below. After a while I will need to have the logo back on screen as well, but for now this should do. And we've got an advantage over casting the game myself, because I don't need to observe and cast at the same time. Also, we get all kinds of nice debugging information which is visible in Root War AI debug mode, and tscmoo did not switch off before sending his bot over to the server. Now, first of all, I need to explain that the information at the bottom left and the bottom right is server generated. So the server keeps count of how long the game's been playing. Bottom left, the game time limit, it's 90 minutes, so if you exceed those 90 minutes, the game will end, and the one with the most points based on killings, raisings and resources mined will get the victory over the other. Local speed and frame skip are rather a measure of the server's performance. It's always okay because it's quite an old game. And the no kills time limit is that you need to kill a unit every 5 minutes, otherwise the game will end and will be decided on points. So, as you can see, we have now had about 12 seconds no kill, and that will probably reset. At the bottom right, you'll see the name of the map. It's a 3-player map, taukross.scx, and the frames, number of frames larger than 58 milliseconds, 0 of a maximum of 320. That means that if an AI takes more than 85 milliseconds to generate a frame because it's using too much CPU power or RAM, or just has complicated decision making, it will get a mark, and if it gets 320 of those, it will be disqualified. It will automatically lose the current game. Same goes for number of frames larger than 1000 milliseconds, so that's 1 second. And if it inadvertently takes more than 10 seconds to render a single frame, it will get disqualified instantly. So, frame, there are 25 frames in a second in Root War, so that's a bit of the amount of time you need to screw that up. Usually, if you are generating marks in that department, you are experiencing some problems in coding, and generally speaking, the processing power and the RAM you get is sufficient to run a decent bot. It's not that hardware intensive anymore. So back to the game, and I was talking about the overlay. The blue grids you see are unexplored things near enemy units, tscmoo told me, and in the top left you can see CPU usage and all kinds of units there are. Of course, the trace line emanating from the queen you saw earlier is where is it? We'll need to see it again. The orange bleeping you see over the choke point is that the tscmoo is keeping an eye on what is the choke point and which side do we need to be on, where could the enemy come from, and that kind of thing. The queen, that's too late again. Okay, the queen with the trace line is a scouting unit. Is working a bit like a shall we say, a blind man's cane, but it's very effective. Now back to the game. So, tscmoo's got 3 bases, an extra hatch in the main, and a lot of hydras. krasi0 going full tanks with a couple of Goliaths as anti-air and a couple of vultures. Has taken a third already, so it's 5 versus 3 bases. That's pretty good for Terran, and not too much blood has been shed as of yet. tscmoo taking a couple of shots at the racks, but it's going to floating to safety. And when there was one more thing I should explain, If I am not observing myself what is doing that and why is it so erratic, that is because the observer is another piece of AI. It's been written by Michael Saticki and Björn Person Madsen. It does everything by itself. It just focuses the camera on a group of units, on some action, on kills. I think it's got an override if there's a nuclear missile being launched, things like that. You can give all kinds of events certain priorities, and it sees everything. So it's not dependent on the view of the player, in as much as it sees everything the units can't see. So if we're a human player, it might focus on anything in range, in vision range of the units and the buildings of that player, not necessarily where that player is pointing its own screen. So that's very interesting and all. Some skirmishes between Goliaths, and look at it microing. The Queen scouting and the eBay going down. tscmoo has got 5 bases, producing massive amount of units, 111, or is that 4? 145 supply, or 15, we'll see in a minute if it pops 20 or 50. 118, 17, 18, 19, I think that's 120, yeah, 120 supply. krasi0 now on 3 bases, pretty good. Pretty good, the Queen now caught, but krasi0 needs to move out of there, otherwise it's going to be a long hard ride for him. You can turtle back on 3 bases, but that's a very fast hive, and we've got defilers out, and we've got a lot of mutants, we've got Hydra. tscmoo's got complete map control. krasi0 is in a lot of trouble to get out of this game alive. That's a nice drop. Oh, the mutant goes down, 5 or 6 drones had been killed. I think that was worth it for krasi0. Then again, you can't really expand that all that many units if you are a Terran contained. tscmoo is posturing at the bridge towards the 3rd, but only Hydras, and if you put a couple of tanks there, I think that you could shut that down quite easily. Now they run to the bunker, and in the rear, the bottom left, under the overlay, you can see the tanks, and the Wraith is coming out to help as well. So the Hydras don't stand a chance. They're going for it again, but I think the tanks will still be there. No, they have repositioned. That's pretty... Oh, and now the swarm comes over, but with the siege tanks and the splash damage, everything that pokes its nose out from under the swarm gets blasted instantly. And that's quite a bit of a money sink for tscmoo at this point. tscmoo, having come back from a sabbatical, he was out of the running for a while. Took CIG, which was pretty impressive because all kinds of people had been working on their bots very hard, and he just sent an older version which he hadn't been updated in months, and took it. So that's another laurel wreath to his pile of prizes. Is still, I think, the most talented and successful AI coder at this moment. Compared to the older ones around 2013, the scene is bigger now, it's better, so I think that tscmoo with his 3 races, which can play all phenomenally well, I think is a very, very good coder indeed. So, that said, taking stock of the game, we've got a couple of mutants, we've got a lot of swarms, and krasi0 is under a lot of pressure. tscmoo now just tipping 180 supply, swarms all over the place, krasi0 defending like krasi0 is still the best defender there is, but in the long run you can't really do much against this, can you? Zerg keeps constantly at 180 supply. The tanks are holding strong though with the Goliaths, they're killing a lot of units. And if the vessel cloud continues to grow, all the expensive units like Queens and Ultras and Defilers, if they get irradiated too much, they do a massive amount of damage to their... Oh, and there go the tanks, that's not good. And then for some reason, the automated observer switches from middle to fight to Zergers, which just have been hatched, because they've been given priority for some reason. Now, krasi0 lost a lot of that army protecting the right flank of his base. Now tscmoo is in a good position to attack further, but it lost a bit of supply, so 20 supply lost for tscmoo as well. Of course it can replenish so much better. Look at those defilers eating up the Zerglings like it's one big Zergling barbecue. It's a very, very bad thing to spawn as a Zergling and realize that you're in tscmoo Zerg's army. Now again, some tanks being lost, and of course tscmoo at this point is only losing Zerglings, so if you are able to trade Zerglings for tanks, you're doing well, especially if you're just about to take a 6th base. Natural and main appear to be mined out. krasi0 should be the same because Terran generally mines out a little bit faster than Zerg does. That's a very good position at the bridges though. You need some anti-tank things like Broodling or Guardians or just a very good swarm push. And as you can see, there are a lot of swarms, but they are stacked and they are not really in the right place. That's also got to do with the difficulty of combining a push with units like Zerglings and Ultras and Hydras with the swarm. You need to have a very good agent to minister them both. Now, ooh, that's very bad because you can now see about 7 tanks which will die to 3 mutas because there isn't a single Goliath would have protected them all, and that is not a very costly loss for krasi0 because his natural and main will be mined out at this point. His 3rd will be his only saving grace. Now the push is coming though, and there is a lot of attack in the main base. Natural is the hive, of course. The hive appears to be going down. tscmoo does not want to take that fight. I think he can afford to lose a couple of bases if it means retaining map control and denying krasi0 more bases, but at this point tscmoo's army is just mulling about the map. 140 supply, used to be at 180, so tscmoo is hurting quite badly at this moment. Natural has been taken down, krasi0 sieging up the 3rd. There are 3 hatcheries, quite a number of drones, a couple of mutas, and they will all die, I think, unless they manage to slip out of there. But that was the 3rd, and there were minerals at the 3rd, so a couple of drones lost, and the 3rd lost, all the larvae lost as well. Quite a costly loss, and tscmoo, well, the supply is it's regaining in supply quite a bit again. 150 was at 140 moments ago, but now krasi0's main army is advancing towards the main, and although there is a fair amount of units, some Zerglings, a couple of mutas, what's at the top, I can't really see what's in those eggs. I think we'll never know. But, oh, an Ultra, and it does manage to get out, so if tscmoo can bring some units from the rear and make a stand with its units there. Oh, there's quite some more in the top left of that main base. I think it's going pretty well, and all the overlords are dying, so tscmoo is supply block at this moment. The Ultras with the Zerglings move in, taking down quite a number of Goliaths, and with the swarm rather effective, but should not be focusing on the tanks, should take out the Goliaths first and then focus on the tanks. But krasi0 with the superior unit count in the rear, which we do not see at the moment because the automated observer only focuses on tscmoo's units, and with some reinforcements dropped by a dropship. That's pretty pro. All the tech of tscmoo gone, a lot of hatcheries gone, and I think that unless those overlords beat it out of there, they're going to get killed pretty quickly because krasi0 has got so many Goliaths. And one of the reasons for that is that vultures are pretty good for harassment, but at a certain point those spider mines they drop, they don't really do much anymore because AIs are so good at targeting things. If a spider mine is given priority, it will be targeted so quickly by Zerglings, by Hydras, and as a human player you are moving things, you are A-moving things, and you can't really micromanage your targeting priorities, and AIs can. Now tscmoo is spending that money rebuilding. 125 supply, lost a couple of bases, took a couple of units in return, and I think that if krasi0's 3rd, it looks to be mined out. Now some Goliaths die to the Hydras and the Ultras. one lone Goliath is going to be attacked by these mutas, and the Hydra from the low ground, it dies, taking out a muta, but in the end this is all that stands between krasi0's defeat and the Zerg hordes outside the base. tscmoo still on 6 mining bases, having retaken the base where used to be his 3rd, now with the Hydras and the Ultra in the main base. That's the natural of krasi0. krasi0's mine out, so that's too bad. We've got Hydras all over the place, tscmoo climbing in supply again, 155, will soon be more. And of course krasi0's got a bit of a mech army, got a small clump of science vessels, but I think I know it's not going to be enough because tscmoo is still mining at krasi0's not all kinds of buildings die, and that, I think, will be about the broadcast. Of course, it's still a bit of a work in progress. I still need something where I can actually observe myself how the game is progressing. But then again, I can now cut off all these loose ends where you can see my Windows setup and just focus on the game. The sound mixing should be better as well. I have had a lot of complaints, and they were quite correct, about the sound being too soft. Then again, the sound mixing is pretty hard. I have found in my well, it's not really long career, but I am terrible with sound mixing, really. And then again, my recording equipment is improving, but I'm still working off that horrible 15 euros Logitech headset, which I would say is not really the best recording equipment this YouTube thing has ever seen. tscmoo now slowly eating away at krasi0, doing damage to the depots which cannot be repaired. Look at all these swarms, vultures taking damage, and there is only one defiler underneath that swarm. Lots of irradiates going down, but now the zerglings are in the tanks again, and all the anti-air is gone. Although the mutas die, in the long run it's not going to go well for tscmoo. Last couple of vultures are being sniped by the mutas. Lots of swarms, and I think that there is going to be one more push and then it will be over. And here comes that push. Oh, no. The Hydra slither back again on their tails. Going to wait one more day. Oh, and there are still 4 Goliaths at the rear, taking down those pesky Mutalists, and now the Lings are in again, and lots of friendly fire from those siege tanks, but the siege tanks have so many kills. The mutas at the back of the base are taking down the turrets slowly but methodically, and although they suffer massive amounts of damage by these turrets and from the occasional irradiate, in the end those turrets will die and it will all be over. krasi0, however, putting up a massive defense with a handful of units. It's like the Alamo, but then even worse because the Zerg are so much bigger than the Spanish. Now the mutas are free reign because the turrets... Oh, look, there's one more over there. And that turret dies as well, so now it's all up to... Oh no, the ground army is dead. There are only a couple of vessels, and tscmoo is swarming in for the kill. The turrets are dead, the mutant numbers are growing. It's now 155 supply, mining like a madman, and there is nothing more to kill these Zerg units, so the supply of tscmoo will keep growing. And krasi0 calls the good game, and promptly leaves. That's pretty good mannered. So this was a small test recording while tscmoo and krasi0 were testing their build orders. Come visit us at the website, which I've placed prominently in at the bottom. You can watch more games, watch them live, learn to play against these bots, and learn to code them yourself. I thank you for watching, and we'll be back more soon with more recordings of these awesome bots. Goodbye!